Hey friends, we're going to start off today by going over graphs again because your week 3 math assignment is going to be a little bit about graphing. So I know that you guys are pretty good at this already, so this should be a pretty easy review. But let's look at all the different kinds of graphs that we typically see. Okay, so we've got a tally chart, and sometimes this is called a frequency chart. And so this one says uses tally marks to record data. So remember that when you're doing your tally marks, you have to put a space in between each chunk of 5 to keep it nice and neat and organized. That way it's easy for you to look at and count your numbers. So if we had lunch, the type of lunch options over here, and the tallies over here, if this was on a problem that we were going to be working on, like a daily rigor or a test or something like that, then what's the first thing that we always say that we need to do to that chart? Right, we need to label it. So if I'm going through, I'm going to look at my tally chart, and I'm going to count by 5s as much as I can. Otherwise, each individual tally mark only counts as 1. So for pizza, I've got 5, 10, 11, 12. For hot dog, I have 1, 2, 3. And spaghetti, 1, 2, 3, 4. Chicken nuggets is just 1. Noodles, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that is how I would label my tally chart. Now let's look at the picture graph next. It says it uses pictures to show data. Sometimes this is called a pictograph as well. That's the same thing. And the important part down here is to look at your key. It says each smiley face stands for one child. Now this would be a pretty basic graph. You guys are used to seeing ones where each smiley face would equal 2 kids or 5 kids, and you would have to know, like, if it was 4 kids, what would half a smiley face equal? But this is just a pretty easy one. Each smiley stands for one child here. Okay, so if I was looking at this, again, I would go through and label. So sugar cookies, we have 1. Chocolate, I have 5. Oatmeal is 1. And peanut butter is 2. Okay, so we have a bar graph down here, and this is going to be kind of like what you're going to see on your page today. On the side, it's labeled for what each line counts as. Now on yours, it's only going to have every other number. So remember that if it's counting by 2s, in between the 2s, it's going to be counting by what? It's going to be counting by 1s. So make sure that whenever you're looking at your pizza topping graph today, that is what you're going to be remembering in your head, is that you've got to look at what goes in between for some of those. Okay, so when we're looking at our bar graph, we have our title at the top, we have the numbers on the sides, and the category at the bottom. So this is for favorite sports. So if I look at football, it goes across to the 1. If I'm looking at volleyball, it's at 7. Basketball comes across to 2. Hockey comes across to 6. And baseball or softball is right at 5. And then my line plot, sometimes this is also called a dot plot. It has all of our information here, and basically every time we see a number, we're going to go put the X there. Okay, so length of pencils in inches. So each X is going to be 1 pencil. Okay, so my first pencil, they had 6 inches. Okay, so they put an X here. Okay, then 3 inches, then another one on 6, and one on 4. We have a 2-inch pencil, 6 inches, 6 inches, and 4 inches. So that's how they came up with the information on this chart. So if you and I were going to come in and label our graph after that, remember that on this one, we always want to go through and we want to like write the letter beside it so we know what we're looking at. Usually with us, it's students or people. In this case, it's pencils. So we have 1 pencil that was 2 inches long. Okay, so you can even go in and you could write inches down here on each one so that you remember it, because sometimes it would be very easy to look at this and say, oh, 2 pencils, because it's on a 2. But that's not what it's saying. The numbers down here are the inches. Okay, so for 3 inches, we have 1 pencil. There were 2 pencils that were 4 inches long, and there were 4 pencils that were each 6 inches long. So that's one thing that's kind of confusing on dot plots, is just remembering which one is which. So when you're actually analyzing the data on a graph, you've got to make sure that you know the questions that it might be asking you to talk about, okay? So it says which one has the most. So if I was looking at my picture graph and I said, what color shirt did they have the most of? Obviously, it would be blue. Which one has the least? Okay, so out of the class, are there less boys or less girls? There's less girls. Okay. How many blank on blank? Let me think of what that question would mean. Oh, but what they mean is like how many pink shirts were there on the picture graph? 1, 2, 3. Oh, but look, it says there 2, so it'd actually be 2, 4, 6. Okay, how many blank in all? Okay, so if they told us or if they asked us how many students are there in all, we would just count. We'd say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And so then we would take that information, 11 plus 8, and we would have 19. How many more blank than blank? Okay, so if they said how many more, remember how many more is our cue for HMM minus. And they said how many more pink shirts are there than white shirts? So we would have 2, 4, 6. And we'd have 2, 4. And what you'd have to do with that would be 6 minus 4 is 2. Okay, and then how many on blank and blank? So if they said like how many minutes did Joey exercise on Monday and Wednesday, then you'd have to go 5, 10, 15. So like this, 15. And then here on Wednesday, it's about 17. And then you'd have to do 17 plus 15 is 32. Okay, so it just depends on the kind of question that they're going to ask you. On your question today, it says, read the graph. How many more? Okay, so you need to make sure, Jordan's coming in, so Zoe barks, I'm sorry in advance. It says, how many more students voted for pepperoni and sausage than for cheese and mushrooms? So you're going to have to make sure that when you're doing that, you're paying attention to what how many more means and what you should do when it says pepperoni and sausage and cheese and mushrooms, okay? That and means something important right there, so make sure that you pay attention to that, okay? So that is your graphing review for today. So today you're supposed to do box number 3, and then you can pick any other box that you want to do on your choice board, okay? So let's go ahead and look through each of these to make sure you know what you're supposed to do on each one. So number 1 says practice your multiplication facts for 10 minutes. Then use your multiplication cards to play war with a family member. See who gets the most facts. So if you were going to be playing war with a family member, basically what you would do, let me find a card here and I'll kind of show you. Okay, so if I had all of my multiplication cards, and on this one it said 9 times 8, and this is how your cards were made at school. Your cards that you got from your packet may look a little bit different, but you'll still get the point here. Okay, and then on the back you have your answers. Okay, so if I was playing war and I've got my deck and my partner has their deck, okay, we both put down a card with the problem facing up, and so this is how it would look. So I'm going to say my fact answer and your partner's going to say their fact answer. So I would say 72 and my partner would say 35, and then we're going to flip it over to make sure that we're right, and we are, and I have the bigger number, so I'm actually going to take both of these cards. And then we would draw one more from our deck and do the same thing. And the goal is for you to get all of the cards in your hand and for your partner not to have any. Number 2 says solve these problems on a separate piece of paper. Choose one of the problems to explain your thinking. So you are going to want to rewrite these on a different paper because that's not how we solve multiplication problems when we do 2-digit by 1-digit. So on a piece of paper, you would want to rewrite them because we need to line it up to do our roller coaster method. So we've got 57 times 4. So you would basically write it out like this for all of your problems. That way you can show all of your work the right way. And you're going to work all these out, and then it says choose one of the problems to explain your thinking. So one of them that you felt very confident on, I would just circle it, and I can record a video and send it to the teacher to explain my thinking, or you can write it out if that's easier, like write some sentences to explain it. I just need you to send me a picture of this once you're done, and make sure you tell me that it's number 2 on your paper, and then just an explanation of your thinking, whether it's a video or a sentence that you've written out, or a few sentences. Number 1, if you want to show me that you've done that one, you can just take a picture of the winner of your war game, or a picture of you guys playing the war game, and you can just send that to me. Number 4 says roll 2 dice. Use the numbers to create or draw an array. Label the rows and columns, and then write an equation to find the area of your array. Write a sentence to explain your solution. So let me get my dice out. Okay, so you're going to take 2 dice. They can just be from any board game or whatever that you've got. If you don't have dice, then you can just have a parent give you some random numbers. So I'm going to roll 2 dice. So I got 5 and 4. So on my piece of paper, I'm going to create or draw an array. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because remember, an array is not an area model. It's different. So I've got 5 on this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I've got to fill it in the whole way. Make sure you keep them nice and lined up, because if it's not neat, it's not really gonna work. Okay, and so we have 5 times 4, and then I've got to think, okay, well, what is 5 times 4? If you don't know, obviously you could count, but the point of an array is for multiplication. You should know 5 times 4 equals 20. Okay, so if I was going to write out the equation, it would look like this. And then that's what you do for number 4, and you just send me a picture of that card. If you get 5 and 4, find a different number, like roll again. Don't do the number that I showed you as an example. It's not really showing me that you know anything. All right, calculate the perimeter of the given shape. Don't forget your perimeter song. So perimeter, perimeter, goes around and round. Add up all your sides, and then you write your answer down. Hey, okay, so they didn't give you all the sides. Okay, so you're going to have to use the sides that you have to figure out what the missing sides are. Okay, so make sure that you pay attention to that. They didn't give you all the sides, and you need to add up all the sides. So you've got to figure out first what your missing sides are, and then add it up. And then you're going to write 2 to 3 sentences to explain your solution. So just write that on the bottom of the paper, snap a picture, send it to me. Number 6 says draw 5 cards from a deck of cards. Create the smallest number possible, create the largest number possible. Write the number in the following ways. Okay, so if you don't have a deck of cards, but you have some dice, you can just roll those again if you want to. I'm going to go grab a deck of cards real quick so I can show you guys how to do it that way. All right, so I've got my deck of cards here. It says draw 5 cards, so obviously you're not supposed to look at them. All right, so face down, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so I'm gonna flip them over. Okay, so I've got a 5, 6, and 8. 10 isn't gonna work, and queen isn't gonna work. So I'm gonna put those to the side and draw 2 more. Ace, that's not gonna work, it's not a number. 3, perfect. And 5, awesome. Okay, so I've got my 5 cards. It says create the smallest number possible. All right, so if I'm creating the smallest number possible, that means I need to start with the smallest number. Okay, so I've got my 3. And I'm going to keep going with my smallest numbers, because remember, the higher they are, and the closer to that side of your number that they are, the higher they are in value. So this would be my lowest number possible. Okay, so on my paper that I'm going to send to my teacher, I'm just going to write lowest number, 35,568. Okay, so now if I want the largest number, or the highest number, then basically I'm just going to switch them, because I now want my biggest number to have the most value. So I'm going to take my highest number I have and put it in the 10,000s place. Then I'm going to put my second highest number in my thousands, then hundreds, tens, and ones. and that's my new number, and that's the highest one I could possibly have. So 86,553. And then I've got to write these in expanded form. Okay, so make sure you label each one of these. Don't just write a bunch of numbers. So expanded form is going to be, let's see, it says write the number in the following ways. Okay, so you can pick either your lowest or your highest, but just make sure that you just pick one of them. So like I'm going to put a star by this one because I'm going to use my highest number. Okay, so for expanded form, I'm going to write 80,000 plus 6,000 plus 500 plus 50 plus 3. And if you don't remember how we got that, remember you can do that triangle method. So we've got 86,553. And so I'm going to draw my triangle down here. I'm not going to connect it yet. And I'm going to put my 8, and then I'm going to fill it in with zeros. Then I'm going to do my 6, drop it down, and fill it in with zeros. Bring my 5 down and fill it in with zeros. The next 5, fill it in with a 0. And the 3 doesn't get a 0. And then you're going to connect your triangle, and all of these numbers are the numbers that you wrote in your answer. Okay, so that's how we do expanded form. Next we have word form. Make sure you write neatly so that I can read it. If I can't read it, it doesn't count. Okay, so I have 86,000, because if you remember, we just cover it up. Okay, we say the first number just like it is, so 86. When you see that comma, you say 1,000, and then you cover it up and say the rest of the number. So I have 86,000, and that's where my comma is, so comma, 553. And if you need help spelling those words, definitely ask a parent or an older sibling, or you can look it up. We want to make sure that we're getting them right because those words do matter. Some small spelling errors can change the whole meaning of that word. Okay, next we have standard form. And if you remember standard form, standard just means regular or normal. Okay, so that's just my normal number, 86,553. And then last we have expanded notation. I know this one's a little harder for you guys sometimes. Don't let it confuse you, okay? It's not that hard. You've just got to remember your place value, okay? So we've got 80,000. Okay, well, what value does this 8 have? Like, what place is it in? Okay, it's in the 10,000s place. And it's an 8, so 10,000 times 8, because that would equal 80,000. And then I close my parentheses and I do a plus. And then I get some new parentheses here. And now I look at the next place. Well, the next place in my place value chart is 1,000. And what number is in that place? It's a 6. So 1,000 times 6, because that would give me 6,000. And I'm going to do my addition sign. Do my next spot, which is the hundreds place. And what's in the hundreds place? A 5. That would give me the 500. Do another addition symbol. Open it back up. What place am I in? I'm in the tens place. And there's a 5 there, which would give me 10 times 5 is 50. And then my last one, I'm in the ones place. And there's a 3 there. 1 times 3 would equal 3. And then we do our equal sign and we write it all together. So it's kind of like expanded form, it just looks a little bit different. All right, so let's look at number 7. It says draw 6 cards from a deck of cards. Create a 6-digit mystery number. Write at least 5 clues that will allow a student to solve your mystery number. All right, so I've got 1, 2, nope, nope, 3, nope, 4, nope, 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 man, unlucky today, no, goodness, 5, all right, finally, last one, hopefully, yes, 6. All right, so I've got 6 regular numbers. You can't use a 10 because it's not a single digit. All right, so draw 6 cards from a deck of cards. Got it. Create a 6-digit mystery number and write at least 5 clues that would allow a student to solve your mystery number. Use complete sentences. Let me get a piece of paper. All right, so we've got to create our mystery number now. All right, so I can do these in whatever order I want. I'm going to do mine in least to greatest. Next. Wow, that was almost perfect. Skipped a 4. Okay, so I'm just going to write my mystery number at the top. So 235,678. Okay, so now I've got to come up with at least 5 clues. At least means that you can have more than 5. Okay, so if I'm writing these clues, I want them to be helpful. Okay, so like not just silly clues that aren't actually going to help anybody guess it. So if I'm looking at this, I'm going to say my number is an even number. And that's a helpful hint because there is only one place I can look to see if a whole number is even, and that's this spot right here, my ones place. Okay, I'm going to say my number is less than 300,000. Okay, because that would tell me that this is the only number that can go in my hundreds place because it's the only number less than 3, or my 100,000s place, sorry. Okay, and then I'm going to say my number contains no repeating digits. So what that means is I don't have like the number 2 twice in there, and I don't have the number 8 3 times. I just have like each digit's only in there once. Like I only used 2 once, I only used 6 once, just like that. My number contains 4 odd, I think 3 odd numbers. Shoot. 1, 2, 3. It contains 3 odd numbers. I should say digits. Wow, that looks really messy. Should have wrote with a pencil. And 3 even digits. Let's see. My number has a 5 in the thousands place. So notice I didn't give away the whole number. I just gave them one hint for where a number is. That way they could fill something in. The digits in my number go from least to greatest. Now, they said I had to do at least 5 clues, but I thought that 6 might be more helpful for my specific number, so I did that. So if a person read through these and they were trying to guess what number I had formed, then they could use these clues to try to help them figure that out. And you could test it on a family member and see if they could get it. It's probably going to take them more than one try, but that's okay. And then this is just what you would snap a picture of to send to me. Just make sure that you tell me that it's number 7 from your math board. Number 8 says roll 2 dice, draw a quadrilateral, and label the length and width of the numbers rolled. Okay, so let me do that first. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but there's like a helicopter or a plane rolling over, or flying over our house. Okay, so a quadrilateral. So think, how many sides does a quadrilateral have? Okay, it has 4. So I'm going to draw my quadrilateral here. Sorry, that was so bad. I'm trying to draw it from up high. And label the length and width with the numbers rolled. So this is my shorter side, so it's going to have my smaller numbers. So 2 and 2, 6 and 6. And then it says determine the perimeter of the shape. So remember, perimeter, perimeter, goes around and round. Add up all your sides and then you write your answer down. Hey. Okay, so if I'm doing that, I'm going to add up all of these sides from my perimeter. And so that would be 2 plus 2 is 4, and 6 plus 6 is 12, and 12 plus 4 is 16. So my perimeter is 16. Could have also thought 8 plus 8 is 16. And it says be sure to include answers on the back and model the steps on how to solve. So that's basically just what we did here. So if you want to take a picture of your card like this, tell me it's number 8 from your math board. That is perfect. Okay, last one. Austin is having a birthday party this weekend. His mom needs to order a cake. Austin invited 4 friends. What fraction of the cake will Austin and his friends? Austin and his friends each get at the party. Draw a picture and write the answer as a fraction. Explain your thinking in 2 to 3 sentences. So I'm not going to model this one for you because if I did it, I would give away your answer completely. But you just need to make sure you remember that part, Austin and his friends, not just his friends. And his mom is not his friend, so you can't count her, okay? You're going to draw a picture of that cake and explain how you figured out what fraction each of his friends is going to get of that cake, okay? Make sure you write that answer as a fraction. Okay, and then you're just gonna take a picture of that one, label it number 9 from your math board, and turn it in. So that is the explanation of your whole math choice board. I know that was really lengthy, but I just wanted to make sure that you understood exactly how to do every box since you're gonna get to choose which box you wanna do. So if you have any more questions about any of that, feel free to send me a message or ask on Flipgrid or anything like that, and I'll be happy to help.